Dunkin' Donuts store employee has been charged with manslaughter after fatally punching an elderly man who racially vilified him. The incident occurred around 1:29 p.m. on the 4th of May, when 27-year-old Corey Giles was working at the Dunkin' store located at 410 South 50th Street in Tampa, Florida. A 77-year-old man was in his car in the drive-through window when he allegedly became upset about the service he received. When things got a little heated, employers asked the man to leave, but instead he parked his car and went inside to confront Corey. Corey explained to the authorities that the elderly man was a regular customer, and on this day he was being extremely rude and called him a racial slur, which Corey challenged the man to repeat. When the customer repeated the slur, Corey punched the man once in the face, knocking him out. As he fell backwards, he hit his head on the concrete floor. When the paramedics arrived, they found the 77-year-old victim unconscious and bleeding from the head. He was taken to the Tampa General Hospital and placed in intensive care, but passed away just after midnight on the 7th of May. An autopsy report showed that the man suffered a skull fracture and brain contusions as a result of blunt force trauma, and the death was ruled a homicide. The police reviewed the Dunkin' store CCTV footage, which shows that the customer didn't touch Corey. On the night of the altercation, police initially charged Corey on a battery charge and was listed in the jail's records as the Dunkin' store's manager. He was released the following day after posting a $2,000 bail. The authorities re-arrested Corey on the same day after the man's death and upgraded his charge to aggravated manslaughter. He's been detained in the Hillsborough County Jail with no bond and faces the possibility of 30 years in prison. A Texas man fatally shot 2 police officers and critically injured an Eden City employee while they were trying to catch a dog as it entered 28-year-old Jeffrey Nicholas's yard. The city employee, who helps with animal control, had the deputies help collect 2 dogs after receiving a complaint that one had bitten someone earlier in the day, on Monday the 10th of May. The deputies had already caught one of the dogs, and the other one ran into Nicholas's yard, which is located in the 100 block of Bryan Street in Eden. Neither of the dogs belonged to Nicholas. Shortly after 8:40 p.m. that evening, deputies 34-year-old Stephen Jones and 26-year-old Samuel Leonard made contact with Nicholas while the city employee waited in the pickup. Nicholas was angry and refused to cooperate with the deputies and ordered them off his property. He said they couldn't collect the dog, and he made threats to shoot the deputies if they did not leave, saying he has civil rights. A struggle then ensued, and the deputies attempted to use a taser on Nicholas. Nicholas then produced a semi-automatic pistol and fired, striking and killing both deputies. He then fired his gun towards the city employee, which went through the door of the pickup and hit him in the stomach, causing him serious bodily injury. Nicholas was arrested later that night after barricading himself inside the home for half an hour and eventually surrendering. He was booked into the Tom Green County Detention Center at 5:38 the following morning with a $4 million bond. He's been charged with murdering the police officers, and charges are yet to be filed for injury to the city employee.